A little further on, she sees something that makes the ground slip from under her feet. Right in front of her, a very large and dangerous lizard is eating an animal. The lizard spots the girl and begins to chase her with all its might to eat her. The girl too is running for her life when suddenly a very dangerous and large dinosaur eats the lizard. The girl's eyes widen in shock. Terrified, she begins to flee the scene at full speed. However, just as the dinosaur was about to devour the girl, a massive gorilla suddenly emerges from behind to save her. He engages in a fierce battle against the jungle's most dangerous beast, and a violent clash ensues between the two formidable creatures. In a split second, the gorilla seizes the dinosaur's jaws and snaps them with brute force, killing the dinosaur instantly. The gorilla then turns toward the boy. She is shown working as a comic actress in New York City theaters, but one day, her entire show is suddenly cancelled, and Anne is not even paid. Anne had no other work, and due to severe financial constraints, she had to beg people for work. After this, we are shown a man named Carl, a filmmaker. At this time, he was going through his worst time. In fact, he was making films about different animals. He was asked to step out for a while. However, the moment he left the room, Carl, using a glass held against the wall, overheard the conversation inside. The producers intended to sell the film in its current unfinished state, rather than completing it. Upon hearing this, Carl immediately grabbed his belongings and fled, resolving to complete the film entirely on his own. But right then and there, Carl learned from his assistant, Proston, that the film's lead actress had also refused to continue working on the project. So, Carl, he quickly goes to a new theater to find a new heroine. But in the meantime, Carl catches sight of Anne and begins stalking her. Anne is very hungry at this time, but she doesn't have a single penny to eat. So she goes to a shop and steals an apple, but the shop owner catches her right there. Carl arrives at the scene and somehow rescues her and takes her to a hotel to feed her. Now here, Carl tells Anne that I am a filmmaker, and I am looking for a leading lady for my film. Looking at you, I feel that you would be the perfect choice for it. At this, Anne flatly refuses Carl's offer to work in the movie. However, the moment Carl reveals that the film was written by Jack Driscoll, Anne agrees to take the role because Jack happens to be her favorite writer. Subsequently, Carl leads Anne to the ship that will transport them to that mysterious destination so that he could go and shoot the film. But just then, Carl's assistant informed him that the studio authorities had filed a police complaint against him and were due to arrive here any moment now to arrest him. Upon hearing this, Carl immediately rushed to the ship's captain, Ingley Horn, promising him extra money. He urged him to quickly start the ship and set sail immediately. After a moment's deliberation, the captain quickly started the ship and began making preparations to depart. Meanwhile, he detains him on the ship. However, Jack was completely unwilling to board this vessel alongside Carl. Meanwhile, when the studio crew arrived at the location with the police, Carl and his associates had already made their escape. Thus, under the pretext of taking his entire team to Singapore, Carl set out to locate the mysterious place known as Skull Island. Due to a shortage of cabins on the ship, the captain assigned Jack a room typically used for housing animals. However, upon observing the numerous bottles of chloroform and cages on board, Jack immediately realized the truth. The captain is an expert at capturing all kinds of animals, and in this endeavor, he is assisted by Mr. Hayes, Jimmy, and Lumpy. Later, after dinner, Carl introduced Anne to his team, where Anne was absolutely delighted to meet her favorite writer, Jack. The very next day, Carl began filming the movie with the lead actor, Bruce, and the heroine, Anne. However, amidst all this, the truth that Carl was heading to Skull Island instead of Singapore was revealed to everyone. Although Carl had managed to persuade the ship's captain by paying him extra money, Hayes and Lumpy refused to go there. Issuing a warning, he stated that 7 years ago, he had encountered a stranger at sea. The man's ship had been wrecked against an island. The stranger claimed that there stood a wall of 100 feet high, a structure so ancient that no one could possibly fathom its true age, and that behind this wall lurked a monster that was neither human nor beast. Having revealed this much, the stranger plunged a knife into his own abdomen and took his life right there on the spot. Therefore, it is our belief that even if you were to succeed in locating that island, no one would ever return from there alive. Because he knew the police had issued an arrest warrant against Carl. Despite Carl's repeated attempts to persuade him, the captain refused to listen. Shortly after, something unexpected happened. Suddenly, the captain's navigational instrument stopped working, sending his ship hurtling toward the same white fog the man had mentioned. Seeing this, the captain tried to turn his ship back, but as soon as they ventured further onto the island, they spotted a little girl, signaling them to turn back. Upon seeing this, and at the mark, when Carl offered the girl a piece of chocolate, she suddenly sank her teeth violently into his hand. At that very moment, all the indigenous inhabitants of the island launched a fierce attack against them. In the blink of an eye, the tribesmen smashed in the heads of Carl's companions, killing them right there on the spot. Meanwhile, when Anne screamed out in sheer terror, a massive beast residing on the other side of a towering wall was awakened, a creature the tribe referred to as Kong. Its roar was so deafening that the news had even reached the captain and his crew aboard the ship. Consequently, they swiftly headed to the island to rescue Carl and his companions. Upon arriving at the island, the captain shot and killed one of the tribesmen with his gun. At this sight, all the local natives fled in terror. Subsequently, the captain successfully rescued everyone unharmed and brought them back to his ship, where he immediately set about trying to maneuver the vessel free from the rocks. However, in the midst of this, several tribesmen infiltrated the ship, abducted Anne, and in accordance with their full tribal rituals placed her atop a wall. They hang it up so that the monster residing on the other side of the wall can come and satiate its hunger. Meanwhile, after a great deal of effort, Captain finally succeeds in maneuvering his ship out from between the rocky cliffs. But just then, Jack discovers a tribal necklace aboard the ship. He immediately realizes that the natives have abducted Anne and taken her away with them. Consequently, Jack quickly gathers everyone and sets off toward the island to rescue Anne. However, by the time they arrive, it is already too late, for the monster is standing right before Anne had arrived. In fact, that monster was a colossal gorilla, a creature the indigenous tribes referred to as Kong. Just then, Kong snatched Anne up and carried her deep into the jungle. Witnessing this, the captain assembled a rescue team to retrieve Anne from Kong. He dispatched the team into the jungle, while deciding to remain aboard the ship to await their return. Meanwhile, Kong was bounding rapidly toward the heart of the jungle, clutching Anne in his massive hand. However, Anne could not endure such violent jolting and leaping, and she soon lost consciousness. Elsewhere, the team sent to search for Anne came face to face with a massive dinosaur, whom they shoot down right on the spot. Following this, Jack and his companions spent the night wandering through the jungle until dawn broke. Consequently, they decided to stop at a specific spot to rest. However, in the meantime, Carl spotted a large herd of dinosaurs nearby. Upon seeing them, he and Bruce began shooting at them. Yet, due to this very act of foolishness, several predatory dinosaurs were drawn to the scene. Witnessing this, the herd of herbivorous dinosaurs present there began to flee in panic. Simultaneously, Carl and his companions also started running for their lives. However, as a result of this stampede, their lives were placed in grave danger. She begins to do so. Watching this, Kong too is greatly amused, and whenever Anne would stand up, Kong would give her a shove, knocking her down onto the ground and burst into loud laughter. Eventually, when Anne grew tired of this whole ordeal, she tried to stop Kong from continuing such behavior. Hearing this, Kong became furious and began to rampage through the area, smashing things. Then, without causing Anne any harm, he departed from the scene. Now, the moment Kong left the area, Anne too began running swiftly through the jungle towards the ship. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Carl and his companions in the midst of their search for Anne. They were repeatedly encountering new jungle animals. They were crossing the river using a boat they had made from broken trees, when suddenly large, strange-looking insects emerged from the river and began attacking them. But after a while, the insects began to flee, because a very large and dangerous animal had appeared in the river. Then, suddenly, it attacked their boat and overturned it. They somehow managed to escape and reach the river bank. But just then, one of their companions was coming ashore when the terrifying-looking monster devoured him too. And amidst all this, two more of their companions are killed. Subsequently, they emerge from the river and arrive before a large cave. They were just examining the cave closely when suddenly, that very gorilla emerged from within. It swiftly grabbed one of their companions, and just as it was about to fire at Kong, Kong quickly hurled it away into a deep ravine. Witnessing all this, the remaining survivors present there hastily attempted to cross the ravine using a fallen tree. But just then, Kong grabs the tree and spins it around violently. Consequently, everyone along with the tree falls straight down into that very ravine, the same one into which Kong had thrown Hayes. Meanwhile, elsewhere, as Anne was rushing toward her ship, she accidentally stumbled upon a lizard one that was massive and extremely dangerous. The story now circles back to where it began. To escape the lizard, Anne takes refuge inside a hollow tree. Just then, another lizard appears on the scene, and one of them begins lunging rapidly into the hollow tree in an attempt to devour Anne. Just then, a massive dinosaur appeared and ruthlessly devoured one of the lizards. Upon witnessing this, the other lizard immediately fled the scene. Now, as soon as some large insects attacked Anne, who was hiding inside that hollow tree, she bolted out in sheer terror.